Welcome back to the Limerick Post Show with me, Meghann Scully. I'm delighted now to be joined by Joe Brooks about a brand new Limerick initiative, Lean On Me. Can you tell us, Joe, exactly what is the concept?
Well, the concept is it's a voucher scheme that basically came about because I suppose the genesis of this was that I was living in Limerick and I was commuting over and back to London, and I could see as the COVID crisis was basically coming to the fore, I could see my circumstances changing, my habits changing, and then these observations, which I wasn't actually making consciously, but they were just kind of happening. So, I mean, I'm from my dad was a retailer in Limerick, so I would know very well how close to the wind these people sail, even in good times. It's not most people in retail, small independents, they're making a living. Few do well out of it, but they generally make a living, and it's good living, and it's social, etc. So I could see very quickly, the cafes were reducing their offerings, and next thing they were reducing the number of seats, and next thing you couldn't go in, only in twos, and next thing they were closed. So I was kind of going, all right. I was like, if this is 3 weeks, we're fine. If this is 6 weeks, X, Y, Z may be gone. And if this is 10 weeks, the commercial landscape could be obliterated in Limerick from a local retailer. When I say local, I just mean independent local. People who are, probably front of house themselves, serving, have a relationship with their customers. So I just, I got very concerned about it, and that was on one hand, and I was kind of going, and I know, I know these people, and I have about 4 or 5 places I go to all the time. But then we're all over, like, I've got my coffee shop, I've got my barber, I've got my, I go for my pints, etc. I won't be naming anybody, but I'm kind of going, my health should be okay because I'm isolating, and hopefully my family will be okay. But when I come out of this in May, June, or July, and I want to meet my friends and we want to go for that pint, it may not be there. So, that was on one hand. On the other hand, I'm sitting here in Ballinacurra on my kitchen table working away, and thankfully my salary is still untouched. Now, for as long as I don't know, but that's actually a lot of people. So the city and county is kind of awash with people with, on full wages still, with no outgoings other than groceries. So, like, it's filling the fridge, and I buy a newspaper once a day. That's it. You can't even put petrol in the car because you're going nowhere. So you've got this gap. You've got retail dying because of cash flow, and then you have the consumer and the community with, not awash, but just with funds available. And I don't think the small retailer we're trying to target is actually catered for in any of the governmental initiatives. And that's not what this is about. It's just, they can't plug every hole. They've got to go for the big gaps and fill them first. And they're doing a good job, I think. So I guess I just tried to, I saw this gap, and then I started thinking, what are people doing with their money? And, it's all online, and like Disney subscriptions up 500%.
Yeah.
So yesterday in the Irish Times, it was like, it's in restaurants are down 69%. So they're now operating at, 31% of their previous incoming. And you have all these subscriptions going out. You've got like clothing, online, gaming, et cetera, fitness products. And it's all fine, but it's actually, it's no benefit locally. And on a normal April day, that's grand, but we're in crisis, and you don't want people kind of coming out of this kind of going, oh, I wish I could have done something.
I wish I could have gone to my favorite coffee shop, my favorite bar.
Yeah,
And I think you're totally right there, because you see now, I suppose, a few businesses in Limerick have been able to open for a day or 2 days here and there at the weekends.
yeah,
And, obviously it's one person at a time. It's very strict, but their queues are there. The people are there. The consumer is there. And, I think when any of these businesses are open at the weekend, and when I was in Limerick, I was kind of like, my day now was kind of going around getting down to my favorite coffee shop. So I think
yeah.
that, just shows the people of Limerick, we want our local independent business to survive. So this is a way that we can keep them going and still have them there when all this is over.
Like, absolutely. I mean, it's to make this connection. Like, everybody is at home isolated, and because you're isolated, there's communication, which is by device and that, but like, people aren't talking about the issues like this much. They're talking about their own issues, which is right. Generally, if you've elderly family, their health, people who are working in the healthcare, their health, etc. And it's, this is a knock-on effect, but it is very serious. The people, generally everybody wants to go back to their local. Like, we're social people. It's what we do. Like, in Limerick particularly, and I know this is, true and true, but I mean, like, we've got famous sports teams and we've great all these accomplishments, but actually, our supporters are actually more famous than the teams that they support. So, like Munster were getting their arse handed back to them on a plate for years, and they've like thousands of people following them around Europe just to support them until they started winning. So it's not something that's not in us. It is in us. But you need to give people a focus, and you need to give them something to actually channel that support through. So I guess the Lean on Me thing just kind of, that's how it came to me, and I just saw this disjoint, and then I started thinking, how could we make the bridge? And then that's kind of when I said, you know what, I said, I need to talk to John Moore.
He's the man to talk to.
He is, yeah. But I was down in Liscannor, probably having a glass of wine, looking out and kind of going, what we do. And then I said, you know what, I know somebody who can help me make this happen. Because John would either tell you, Joe, that's an appalling idea, or it's an idea with potential. I'm not saying it's a brilliant idea, but he said, or let's give it a go. So thankfully the latter. Because I didn't want somebody to say, oh geez, that's fantastic,
Yeah.
And because it wouldn't have come to, we would have gone nowhere if I hadn't had the help, and John, when he said the help, he just pulled together a team of people. It's all voluntary, and
here we are.
We're 2.5, 3 weeks at it, and we're hoping to go live tomorrow. So I don't know.
Lovely. Well, Joe, you did just mention John Moore, and I'm going to speak to him next. All I can say is thank you so much for chatting to us on the Limerick Post Show. As I said, launching tomorrow, Lean on Me. And I think it's going to be so incredible for local independent businesses in Limerick City and County. And I suppose the main message we want is we want them all to be there when this is all over.
We are, of course, asking people to put their money where their heart is. And that is to, back the retailer. So, kind of, thinking, how do I get this across? And for me, it's kind of, there's two scenarios. There's a do nothing and a do something. And the do nothing scenario for all of us is literally just to sit and wait this out, occupy yourselves, and then come out of it as we do, and gradually, and then see what's there. What is surviving, what is not. That's pretty grim. I mean, you will have wholesale closures across the city of small local retailers. That's nailed on. The do something is that that we can connect the community with their favorite retailers. We're not asking anyone to put money into a pot and we spread it around. It's the individual connects with their favorite and gives them the money, and every penny of it goes to that retailer. We don't have any influence on it, and nor do we want to. So, I mean, if you do that and enough people do it, you've obviously got a great amount of goodwill. The retailer will see who's donating to them. They will know them because they're the regulars. They'll get this emotional, lift and some resilience from it. And basically, they'll put a bit of fight back in everybody. And also at the end of it, when they open, they'll have this interaction with people, coming to redeem their vouchers and thanks a million and a bit of crack. And it also create the habit. So when we open, it won't be as I get out of the habit of going to that coffee shop. It'll be like, I'll go down now and I'll get my coffee.
Get my coffee. I'm sick of making coffee myself.
Well, I'm sick of drinking bad coffee anyway.
Yeah, Absolutely. I think we're all in the same boat.
And then you shave. But, you know, and just go down and have that interaction. So, I mean, listen, going back to sport, like,
yeah,
we followed Munster around and paid. Like, I was in Toulouse in 2003. I don't know what it cost, but I could put it this way. It wasn't cheap. We came back 13-12 loss, whatever, out of the competition. You know, Claire gave us our backside on a plate up in Croke Park in 2013. But it was well worth it. But I mean, we were losing those matches and people were paying forward.
Yeah.
We're looking for people to put, you know, a tenner towards a coffee shop over, you know, once a month. You know, pay for a haircut, collect it in June, July, and August. You know, don't pressurize the vendor. You know, work with them. If people do that, and one of the, let's say one of or two of the retailers close, you might lose 10 or 20 quid, but you would still hopefully come out of this and you'll be able to go for your pint, you'll be able to get your roots done, you'll be able to, you know, go down and get a, you know, talk to your barber, talk about Limerick soccer, that kind of stuff. And that's irreplaceable. If it goes, it's not coming back. You know,
absolutely.
That's the scary thing.
Yeah, no, so, absolutely. Joe Brooks, you're right. And as I said, I think a lot of people are going to get behind this Lean On Me initiative because, as you said, there's so many places that we all love going to that we are all missing so much and are just dying to get back to.
I have a list, but I won't go into them.
Joe, thank you so much for chatting on the Limerick Post Show today.
Lovely talking to Meghann. Thank you very much for helping.
I'm now joined by John Moran, who, of course, is part of the Lean On Me initiative as well. We obviously just spoke to Joe Brooks. John, I suppose we want to know is how this group came together and how you guys decided, right, let's get this going.
Okay, well, look, this is classic Limerick, right? I mean, it's a small place. Everybody knows each other. I had probably about the time we were thinking about the close down in the middle of March, sent out a tweet that sort of suggested a concept which is very similar to what we've now pulled together. And then about a week later, Joe gives me a call. I mean, as I said, it's Limerick, right? Joe's parents used to live up the road from my parents and out towards Patrickswell and Munga, and says, I have this great idea. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you got the same idea as everyone else has, which is brilliant because it means everybody's looking at the same problem and seeing that there is a solution. And I'm sure a lot of businesses out there are thinking, where is the solution to the problem that we have bills still racking up and we have no cash coming in? So Joe had kind of this idea that we could kind of call on the network of people that have supported Liverpool Limerick in the past and some new people. And so we started making some phone calls, and he's been calling businesses. I've been calling some people. You've got the grid finance people who've come on board, which is great because they're here up the street in the Crescent as well. So they're in effect a small Limerick business themselves, but they have the systems to look after the money safely. So it's not coming into Liverpool Limerick, it's going directly to them. And to also kind of distribute it out through their accounting systems to the various businesses. So it's a classic kind of Limerick, as I said, solution. It's a community of Limerick coming together to help each other.
I think that's the one thing that I've noticed is since this whole cocooning and isolation and lockdown phase is how much we all miss our local independent Limerick shops, coffee shops, barbers, bars, everything. I think we're all lacking that, I suppose, sense of community. We're lacking that friendship that we've built with the owners of these businesses as well. And I think when it's all over, we want to be able to walk back in the doors of all these shops and we want to be able to get all those things that we love and miss so much.
Yeah, look, it's somewhat controversial, but people know that I've always said the future of Limerick City is not built around Marks and Spencers, right? It's going to be built around the shopping experience. Retail is changing. And we've probably taken all of that too much to granted until such time as now we suddenly don't have it, right? And really what is the future for what we refer to as the livable Limerick, right? That's how kind of we're so supportive of this. Is the idea that you can kind of do this small town shopping, whether it's in Adair, whether it's in Arte, whether it's downtown in Canton Street, you know, or down by the milk market. And we kind of understand that now with the milk market. It's brought it home to us, the importance of small suppliers, just how much more fun it is to shop in small places. And that's what this is all about, is making sure that when we kind of get out of this lockdown, that all of those businesses, we're seeing them come to their front doors, opening it up. We're seeing them re-employing the people that used to work in those businesses beforehand, and they're back in again, and we get that friendly smile. And I suspect people will be doing an awful lot more smiling when this is all over, I hope.
Absolutely. And I suppose, as Joe was saying there beforehand, it's a case of maybe even just putting 10 or 20 euro towards your favorite coffee shop or your barbers or your pub, or any local business, so that the fact then when you come back around, they're there and you can get all the goods that you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's an important point for everybody to remember in this, and I suppose it's one of the things that you can kind of forget, and we do want people to understand that, right? Which is that this isn't like a savings plan in your local bank where you've got extra cash and you can put it in and it's safe and everything else. This is sort of a bit more like a GoFundMe campaign, or a crowdfunding, so that we all collectively put a small little bit of money together into a big pot, and that gets to our favorite shops to make sure that they're there, or the barber or the plumber or even the person that cuts our grass or looks after our kids, so that, during the weekend we're looking after them now. I bet everybody's delighted to have that, like, job themselves again.
Yeah.
But those people still have to pay insurance, they still have to pay rent in all their businesses, and lots of these fixed costs that continue to rack up. And so this is kind of a way of giving them all cash now,
Yeah.
and we'll come in a couple of months' time and collect our services then. It might be a plant it's there's so many businesses. It's actually really interesting to see when you start to think about how many local businesses we have in Limerick to support. The number is huge, and this is going to work really well. I mean, we're going to start this week with a couple of businesses that we sort of all know ourselves, two group of people that got together. But next week, we hope that, we've been talking to the Adair Business Association.
Yeah.
Well, they have already got like 10 or 15 businesses in their area that together. It will move to Brough, it'll move to Kilmallock. Once we get a champion locally in those towns who can contact us and say, I can help to collect the businesses around here and validate them, that's great. We can actually just add them to the platform.
Absolutely incredible. John Moran, thank you so much for chatting to us further about Lean On Me. I'm going to chat to Shawnee Ryan next about how people can get involved. Thank you so much.
He'll explain how it all really works, because he's the technology genius behind it.
John, thanks so much, and I hope to see you now in a couple of weeks around town.
Okay, super. See you then. Bye. Thanks for the...
I'm now joined by Shawnee Ryan of eLive to chat more about it. I guess John Moore mentioned more so the technical side of things. Can you tell me how you got involved first of all?
Hi Meghann, how are you doing? So John and Limerick approached eLive, and we were delighted to get involved in this, and he gave me the brief around what the website was supposed to be for, and obviously to help local businesses in this time of need. And we were delighted to get involved in it, and our team worked really hard to get the website up and running. And I think it's probably the fastest we've ever been able to turn around something like this. We worked day and night on it, and what we built is a very, very simple system. It's very easy for businesses who want to get registered on the system to come on, fill in a form, and upload some of their data and their details, and we can get them up and running on the system straight away. And then for the users, it's a very, very simple system. They can go in, they can find their favorite local business, and they can very easily just purchase a voucher on the system.
Super. So it sounds really easy to use. So we'll say, for example, I'll log on, I'll find my favorite, maybe a coffee shop, my favorite bar, my favorite restaurant. I know there's so many other businesses, and I can put in maybe 10 or 20 euro or maybe whatever I can spare for the week. And as you said, buy that voucher. And then when all this is over and it's all open up again, I can go in and redeem whatever items I want.
Exactly. What you can do is you can go onto the website, and if you want, you can do it as a once-off guest purchase. So you just put in your details and you can make your purchase. Or you could save your details if you want to be able to come back at multiple times to be able to purchase from different businesses or a repeat purchase from the same one. And then once that goes through, the site is obviously, it's a very secure site. We have using SSL encryption, and it's PCI compliant. We're using Stripe as our payment gateway, which, as you know, is set up by two Limerick-men. So another big plug for Limerick there. And your payments go through, and then those payments will then go to the businesses that are involved. And when this is all over and we start returning to normal, you then go into the businesses that you've supported. They will have details given to them already of who has purchased, but you will also be getting a confirmation of your purchase when you do it through the site. And then they will issue with your voucher, which you can use.
That sounds absolutely incredible. Where can we find it? Like, what is the address?
Okay, so the web address of the website is www.leanonme.eu.
Absolutely incredible. Shawnee Ryan of eLife, thank you so much for this. I have to say it's such a great idea, and I think it's so worthwhile for Limerick businesses and of course us consumers as well, that all our favourite independent places will be there when this is all over.
Yeah, we're delighted to be involved in this and delighted to have helped out, and hopefully, like, we've got a lot of customers around Limerick and we want to see everyone thrive. We want everybody to get through these times and come out the other side of it, and we're relying on the public now to help your local coffee shop, your local hairdresser, your local dog grooming parlour, whatever it is. Find your favourite one on leanonme.eu, support us and help us all get through this.
Shawnee Ryan, it's been great to chat to you, and we will hopefully see you soon now around Limerick when it's all back up and running again.
Indeed you will. Thank you, Meghann.